Hi everybody, the purpose of this video is to compare the sounds of these two Sarods that I just finished building. This one is a model that I have been building for a number of years, and this new one is a new design of which this is the first ever to be built, so we'll be hearing that for the first time. This one, this Lute Sarod is something that I've been building for a number of years now, and it's a design that myself and Arnab Chakravarti came up with. And the idea is to use a very light construction like an oud back or a lute back and body, and the neck is hollow, but the fingerboard is placed on top of a wood sub base. So I have a thin layer of wood, and then on top of that the metal fingerboard. Okay, so this new design deviates somewhat from that Lute Sarod design, and the idea behind this design was to achieve a sound which would be as close as possible to that of a traditional Sarod, and also a visual look as close as possible to a traditional Sarod, while maintaining the lute making techniques of the body. Because a traditional Sarod they're still made from, they just take a huge chunk of wood, like a log, and carve it out. Okay? Now that is an extremely wasteful way of making an instrument. I mean, you have to use half of a tree, basically, right? And most of the wood just gets wasted. So we think that it's a question of time before there's not going to be, wood left to keep on making instruments that way, like good quality wood, right? So this lute making technique uses very thin strips of bent wood. Okay, so it doesn't use very much wood at all, and it's light. It's very light. Although Arnab and I have been discussing this new design for a number of years now, and we kind of have been brainstorming to try to figure out what are the design elements that need to be there in order to achieve a sound as close as possible to a traditional Sarod. And a few of the elements are included here. Like one, for example, is the light. We're sort of thinking the light design of the Lute Sarod is perhaps too light for a Sarod, because a traditional Sarod is very heavy. Okay, so we achieved a heavier body mass and weight by making these ribs, which are normally 2 or 2.5 millimeters thick. I doubled them. So now we have at least 5 millimeters thick body, as well as a reinforcing strip around. So the edge here is at least 8 or 10 millimeters thick, and the rest of the body is 5 millimeters thick, and the neck is back down to about 3 millimeters thick. So it's still lighter, it's not top heavy, it's very balanced, and it has that extra mass on the body. The idea of having extra mass is that you won't have resonance leaking into the body, so the resonance gets confined to the soundboard. Now the other significant feature of this design, which is even more significant in my opinion, is that we went with a heavier piece of metal for the fingerboard and no wood subfloor. So you've got the fingerboard, the metal fingerboard, and the rest is air right up to here. It's hollow. So that is I can tell immediately when comparing these two instruments that's one significant difference. Is that on the Lute Sarod, my previous design, the neck was not resonating. The neck was functioning more like a guitar neck or an oud neck, in which it's just stable. It just supports the strings. It's not like on this design, the neck and the fingerboard act as a this fingerboard acts as a resonating plate it's resonating. It's emitting lots of sound, and the air is hollow in there. And of course the skin is a resonating plate as well. So you have like 2 resonating plates and 2 resonating air chambers, which really increases volume enormously, actually. I mean, if you're playing with a mic, who cares, right? But it really increases the volume. The sound is a lot louder than the Lute Sarod. And also this neck plate, which is the metal plate, accentuates the high frequencies. Okay, so we have a lot of that typical shimmering sound of a traditional Sarod. It's a very shimmering high frequency sound. The other thing that we did with this Sarod was add a sound hole. Because normally a Sarod, a traditional Sarod, doesn't have any sound hole. It has a lot of air, but there's no sound hole. So what a sound hole does is a sound hole activates the air mode, the air resonance mode, which is of course very low, deep bass frequencies. Okay? I think a traditional Sarod doesn't have a sound hole because nobody has ever wanted really a lot of deep bass frequencies on a Sarod. It's a high-pitched instrument, so why would you want that? Well, this is partly the experiment of this instrument, is to see what would happen if we activate the airspace. How is that increased bass response going to affect the sound? And we'll see. So let me play a little bit on each of these instruments. Also, let me say that this one is less than 24 hours old. It's opening up. Every time I pick it up, it sounds more and more warm. So it's taking a little time, of course, to warm up. But I got impatient. I got to make the video. I really want to make this video. So I'm going to make an official video from this instrument a little bit later, a few weeks from now or something like that, maybe next month. But for now, this is just a comparison video. The other thing is that this instrument has, compared to the Lute Sarod I'm going to be comparing it to, this has a much smaller soundboard. I mean, this is a 26 centimeter width. The Lute Sarod has a 30 centimeters, so it has a lot more warmth and bass for that reason. This is a smaller instrument. Also, the one I'm going to be comparing it with has got 4 drones, 4 strings, like set up more like an Ali Akbar Khan, with a different drone string setup. And this is more set up like an Amjad Ali Khan without, it's only got 2 drone strings there. So there are differences, but they're pretty much quite similar instruments. I mean, set up quite similarity. So let me play, and forgive me because both of them have different ergonomics, so it's a little strange for me to play. So I'll do my best. Thanks. go back and forth a couple of times here.